All right,
So
here we are.
we're
Okay.
live? Okay,
Yep.
I'll go ahead and start it off then. Hey, what's up, everyone? Shane and
Ryan, I'm over here.
here from
And then,
R&S TCG. We got a special guest today down below. This is Tiger. He is our local D&D expert. Go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit, Tiger.
My name is Tiger. Been DMing for years and years. Started in early high school and just been doing homebrew campaigns since then.
right on. All right, so I'm going to couch this by just a quick overview of my Dungeons and Dragons experience. I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons since the 70s. This is D&D 1.0. Okay, so any
Old.
yeah, any opinions I have are going to be couched on the fact that I'm a huge D&D fan. I've been playing it for fucking forever. It's been a little. I haven't played in the last 10 years or so. I'd like to, but who knows? Anyways, so what we're gonna.
Oh, and just so we can say my experience, I played it one time. That's my experience, but I mean, I know the gist of what's going on here in our topic at hand, which is the OGL. So go ahead and kick it off, Ryan.
So I think we're just going to talk about the OGL. It seems to be a big hot topic. And breaking news, Wizards has decided to not release the OGL chat that they were going to have today. And it sounds like there's...
Second time this week they've pushed it back.
It sounds like there is a bit of kerfuffle going on about people basically showing their discontent.
They hate all the bitching,
and they hear all the bitching. But unlike, I mean, this is what we talked about last time. You know, Wizards and Magic, and I did say that their Hasbro's Fireside Chat. They also brought up about monetizing or taking advantage of getting more money out of D&D, and I said that could be an issue. If you go back and watch it, I was like,
Here we are.
Here we are. And it sounds to me like, unlike the people bitching about Magic the Gathering so far, which is we said it. If you don't like it, vote with your wallet. It sounds to me like a lot of people are voting with their wallet because everybody's canceled their D&D Beyond accounts to the point where their website crashed. But
is that okay? I had heard you were mentioning,
yeah.
And I had heard that the website crashed. I didn't know it was because
people
were getting on there and canceling
their accounts.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
En masse.
in one fell swoop, and that happened, and Wizards
All
was
right.
like, "Oh, full stop. We need to take a break, step back, and reevaluate what's going on." Hasbro hasn't said anything.
It's because it affected so much.
Yeah, it did. It
That
really
Wizards
did.
finally realized that.
But because that,
and we'll get into what it affected here in a little bit. But just as an overview, there's one main point that I disagree with. The rest of it, I think is okay.
So let's
get into that.
Let's just do a quick history. The original OGL was created in 2000. It was during D&D 3.0, and it was an open license, and it was a very broad open license to allow other people to create games and systems based on Dungeons and Dragons core. They allowed you to use that core to create whatever you wanted. You just couldn't use, IP, like certain characters, certain creatures, that sort
of
thing. Yeah, and part of the big part of the OGL was there was a stipulation that said that this license would be forever. It was never going to change.
Perpetual was the exact word.
Perpetual license. And no matter what happened, if they decided to change, make a new OGL, whatever, you could just say, no, I'm just going to stick with this OGL and just keep creating. Well, funny thing happened on the way to OGL 1.1, now 2.0. They actually took that down, and you cannot find it anywhere on any official website. It's only cached in certain websites. They took it away.
And on Wikipedia, they have it on the Wikipedia.
Yeah, that's not an official Wizards website.
No, I know.
So
Yeah, you just mean on a official Wizard/Hasbro
Wizard
channels.
slash
They don't
Hasbro, they
have
took
mention of it anymore.
they got rid of. They're trying to scrub it.
Well, yeah, of course they did, because this new one essentially wipes that old one out,
Correct.
even though they said that was in perpetuity. The problem being, from a legal standpoint, it's their own shit, and it's not really legally binding. They can do whatever the fuck they want with it. It's their own thing.
So I'm just going to go through some salient points. I have the actual OGL 1.1 in my hands, as Rush Limbaugh used to say, in my cigar-stained hands. I have a document. But I'm just going to go over some of the salient points and let you guys fight over it. So the first one I want to talk about. Whatever. The first part is, again, if you guys want to read along, page 5, section 8, subsection A, modification. This agreement, along with
why don't we talk about what it splits it up to in the first place? So
splits it up.
It turns it into a non-commercial license and a commercial license. Why don't we start there and explain just briefly what those are before we start getting into certain.
So why don't you go ahead?
Points.
So basically, the commercial and the non-commercial they basically say the same exact thing, cut and paste, with the exception of the commercial license has some monetary stipulations into it. If you want to go into.
Yeah, essentially, give me a second here. I'll just explain it briefly, and then I'll let you get into those points, just so that if anybody's watching here that doesn't know what's going on, gives them at least a little bit of a background here. So the non-commercial and commercial. Non-commercial means that you're not making any kind of money off of the gaming system, so you get to use their gaming system as you've always been able to. You can tweak it, you can create your own content, add to it, and you can distribute it for free, and that's a non-commercial one. If you decide to get the commercial license, you can distribute it, you can make money off of it using the basic system and whatever basic IPs that they let you use, because there is some basic IP that they let you use. You can do that and make money off of it, but then they have a tiered system where if you make under 50,000, you have to register them on that D&D Beyond's website, no matter what, just so that they're aware of what's out there. And I think it also kind of helps give you a little bit of exposure that way, so I don't see anything wrong with that part. But there's 3 tiers. The bottom tier is if you make under $50,000 a year on it, you don't have to do shit. If you make over $50,000 a year, you got to share financial information with them just so they see where you're tracking and where you're at. If you make over $750,000 a year off of your game, that's using their OGL, then anything over that $750,000 mark in a year, you pay them between 20 and 25% royalty.
Yeah, we'll go over that
on that mark.
Yeah,
and that we'll go over that in a minute. But that's just a basic overview of what's going on.
Okay.
Go into the bullet points here that we're going to go into.
So I'm not gonna go through the whole OGL. I'm just gonna go over the parts that are causing everyone's
a ruckus,
causing their knickers to get all twisty. So again, page 5, section 8, subsection A, modification. This agreement, this is the non-commercial part of it. This agreement, along with the OGL commercial, which means this is also part of the commercial section, is an update to the previous available OGL 1.0A, which is no longer an authorized licensed agreement. We can modify or terminate this agreement for any reason whatsoever, provided we give 30 days notice. We will provide notice of any such changes by posting the revisions on our website and making public announcements of the changes through our social media channels. Now, what this means is this OGL agreement that you're signing off on, they can decide with 30 days notice to change any part of it for any reason. Go.
I'd like to hear Tiger's opinion on that part first. I already have an informed opinion on that.
What, the 30 days and you can't really do much?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's basically saying, okay, so look at it this way. All right, so they could take that $750,000 goalpost and move it down to.
Oh, of course,
it's going to be ridiculous. Like, can you really you kind of do something to the community where you're kind of saying hey, at any second we're you're making too much money off of our product, so we're gonna charge you more on our royalties, like over and over and over again. And it's kind of really annoying for those companies that make a lot of money.
So yes, there's the potential for that, but you also have to realize that this is also straight up basic legal mumbo jumbo for any kind of fucking stipulations for any kind of service. They all have this almost exact same wording. It's not. I don't think they do that just because there's some little thing in there they want to tweak. It gives them the right to go back and tweak it. If they don't say this at all, then they don't have the right to go back and tweak it. They'd have to have a whole brand new OGL come out and then say we're wiping the old one out. So it's to me it's a moot point because it's literally legal mumbo jumbo just to cover their asses if they change one little thing. I don't think they're gonna go in there and say, hey, no, it's not 750,000 now. It's only 500,000. They could do that, but I mean, they could do that anyways if they wanted to.
So again, you're right. This is very much a part of every. You sign up for using
any kind of terms of service
any kind of
type
terms
deal.
Of service. That's in there always.
Yeah.
Does anybody?
So I see where people are reading this, and especially people that might not have enough of a semblance of like legalese, and where they might get scared reading this. I read it and I see they're just reserving the right in case they fucked up on something in here, they can go back and fix it. That's basically what I'm seeing here.
Okay.
Because here's the deal: if they didn't put that in there, and they did want to change something later, all they do then is go, OGL 2.1, and this replaces OGL 2.0. This just saves them from having to fucking put out a brand new one and cancel this one out. This just puts it in there. Hey, we're amending this. So, basically, it's errata.
So that's true, but so the thing is that replaced in the original OGL the whole perpetuity. You could have
I think out of this part that you read here, the main point here is this eradicates the original OGL, the original license, and I think that obviously people are up in arms about that, and I can see why, because that gives you more freedom on that. I'd like Tiger to speak a little bit on that if he'd like to. What he thinks on them getting rid of, not allowing people to use that original OGL at all anymore. What do you think on that, Tiger?
Well, so what's really funny is that when they were kind of coming out with this OGL, a bunch of people, including like Cobalt Press and Paizo, came out with like new things for their fan base and to help protect their fan base and all that from this new OGL kind of taking away anything that might happen. And they call it like a black flag kind of thing, like pirates.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, the problem I'm seeing is So and I heard this, and I can't verify it. I've looked for it. I'm not able to verify it myself, but I heard that D&D, when they came out with the original OGL, they only had a 50% market share on tabletop role-playing games. 50%. Hasbro didn't really give a crap about D&D. They weren't marketing it. They were just kind of like, it's there. We own it, but we don't care about it. We're not going to do anything to grow it. But the people at Wizards wanted to grow it, and the vice president who came up with this OGL, they looked at it as a way to sort of grow the fan base. So they came up with the original OGL. So during that time, all these secondary creators have come out, and most specifically Paizo. Like they originally were running a magazine called Dungeon, which was kind of like the official Dungeons and Dragons magazine back then. And they took that and they made Pathfinder, which is kind of like a D&D 3.0, 3.5 gaming system. Yeah. So because of that, and Dungeons and Dragons went from a 50% market share to 85% market share up until a couple years ago. 85% market share on tabletop role-playing games on the backs of Paizo, Kobold Press. More recently, you have streamers and whatnot like Critical Role and whatnot. On the backs of these people, and it feels almost like they're saying, okay, you guys all had your cake. Now we're going to take some of that cake back.
Yeah.
Thanks for dynamiting the mine. We'll take all the gold.
Exactly. You've
Pretty
done all the
much.
work. Now we're gonna reap the rewards.
Which, I did a little research on just kind of the basics of the OGL license throughout from 2000 till now, and if you go back and actually look and read it, the original one, it's meant to, be in perpetuity. You can use this, and obviously Wizards' deal then was, hey, if everybody's using the same system, then when they use our official D&D stuff, everybody will know how to play it because they're already playing with this system. They're used to this system. Makes sense.
It's kind of like a rising tide, but it raises all boats, right?
Right, but they did another license after the original OGL. It was called like a RSG, something like that license.
Oh, the SRD?
Or RSL. No.
Oh, you're talking about the 4.0 one?
The one that's, the 4.0 one. They did that, and then that, you could tell, so when they did that one, you could tell that where Wizards was going with this is the reason, what their thought was, is, we get everybody on the same system, get everybody using the same system, and then at some point, we turn on the cash flow, and that's kind of where we are today. It's you could kind of,
the problem was,
looking back on it with fucking 2020 vision, you can see the writing on the wall with that.
Sure.
Maybe you couldn't see it back then, but
the thing is that license was not part of the OGL. It was a separate license that they tried to get people to use, and to a person, not one single company used it, and that is why D&D 4.0 was the worst selling tabletop role-playing game in the history of role-playing games. And
then they went back to the OGL again.
It failed, which gave rise to the Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, which they then updated the OGL to include that as well.
Right, which, like I said, why I just wanted to bring it up and mention it was because you could see right there kind of the writing on the wall.
They were eventually
where they were thinking they were going with this.
Yeah,
monetization, clearly.
Yeah. So let's move on to the next point, which kind of again goes back to people creating content, right? So this is on page 7, if you're following along. Page 7, section 10, subsection A and B. You agree that nothing prohibits us from developing, distributing, selling, or promoting something that is substantially similar to a licensed work, i.e., if you create something and you license it under this new agreement, Wizards can come along and make something very similar.
So that one, I had to read that section, that little bit over and over again. I'm not sure that's how that reads. Because if you look at it, anywhere it says licensed product. It doesn't say you or your product.
But here's
so they specifically say everywhere in there you if it is your stuff.
All right, but here's the best part. Section B. You own the new and original.
This is the part.
You own the new and original content you create. You agree to give us a non-exclusive, perpetual, irrevocable, worldwide, sub-licensable, royalty-free license to use that content for any purpose. You own your stuff, but we could take it and we could sell it for more than you'll ever make.
Or use it for marketing or whatever.
Marketing.
That's I think that's more the point to bring forward, because the point before that is a little confusing how they have it worded. It could be taken more than one way. So, but this part obviously can only be taken one way. I'd like to hear, you and me are fucking.
Yeah.
Let's hear. I want to hear Tiger's opinion on them being able to use the content that people create. What's your thoughts on that, Tiger?
I think that's really shitty because like you're taking that's the community's work, you know. Like that's
So
I totally agree. That's
as a photographer and graphic designer, previous, there were a couple places that like would try to get you to sign over your images or your artwork with this kind of clause, and it was like that is like it's like the most ridiculous thing ever. Like you would never give anyone that kind of right to.
well,
no.
It's like you own a house, and and somebody comes along and it says you're gonna let me use this house, sublease it to somebody, or sell it, and I get all the money.
Or
even though
it's your house, it's your house, you own it, but I'm gonna rent it to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know,
to me, that is, if I had to take the part of this whole thing as the most, if they took this part out, I think the OGL is okay. This part right here,
I 100% agree.
They just took that part out, I would be okay with the rest of it. This alone makes it, it's robbery. It's flat out robbery.
Well, and it's in both. It's in both the non-commercial license and the commercial license. And they're essentially mirrors of each other.
Yeah, and here's the thing: is like if you take Critical Role, who's got probably the most famous podcast and YouTube channel, and now they have that show on Amazon, which is amazing. They could take those characters, that world, create books, create movies, create video games, and the people who created those,
not with this OGL they can't.
They could do whatever the fuck Dungeons and Dragons could do whatever the fuck they wanted with that stuff.
Yeah, but they can.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that the creators of this can't do with this new OGL.
Yeah, no.
Did you read that? Did you read that section?
Yeah.
You can't do any kind of videos.
Yep.
Well, you can do videos that coincide with Wizards of the Coast fan policy.
Yeah.
Which I'm not 100% certain on what that is. Which I think that's fairly lenient. YouTube, random basic YouTube stuff. No. They just don't want you going out there. They don't want you going out there and using their gaming system for you to create your game off of it, and then you making a book or a movie based off of your game because it uses their system. They're not allowing you to do that anymore.
Yep.
And one thing it does curb too is like, obviously they couldn't predict some of this. They couldn't predict back in 2000. They couldn't predict the rise of YouTube and the rise of a lot of the gaming stuff we have today. And I understand them wanting to come out with something now to retroactively go, hey, no, you can't come out with a fucking computer game version, tabletop version of this that uses our system. I understand that. They want the exclusive rights to that shit. That's perfectly understandable. But yeah, to say that we're gonna, hey, you got a cool fucking storyline? Well, we're gonna fucking use that in our marketing materials, and we might even fucking eventually put that into the main D&D storyline, and they're stealing your shit, and they're not giving you money or credit for it.
Yeah, it's flat.
They might give you credit. It doesn't say anything about not giving you credit, I guess.
No,
but they're not going to give you any kind of compensation.
You're not going to get any kind of monetary compensation, which is the bane of all artists out there.
Yeah, it'd almost be like if I went live or if I recorded my personal game of D&D that I run. And let's say like I get popular and all that, they could just steal my story and all that, and that just feels wrong and like evil almost. And it's like, why come up with the OGL now, especially with put out this controversy now, especially with D&D becoming so popular recently.
I mean, you can thank
it is like exploded in popularity.
It's exploded because of Critical Role. It's been on Stranger Things, right?
Yeah, it's been gaining so much traction, and then like Wizards just like made it into Magic the Gathering, and like is, and then they're
Well,
like, hey.
and another reason why I think this shit's kind of coming down the pipeline right now, or should I say the poop chute, is because, okay, Hasbro, parent company, as Rudy would say, Papa Hasbro.
Papa Hasbro.
Papa Hasbro, he fucking broke both his legs, and he's got Nerf and Wizards of the Coast fucking as his crutches propping him up here, and Papa Hasbro's, they're going, fuck, we're not doing so hot, but fucking Nerf does good for us, and fucking Wizards of the Coast is fucking doing, they make us money, so let's fucking just squeeze that fucking cow for every fucking drop old Bessie's worth. And that's where we're at. And that's where we're at. That's why we're here.
So if there was a podcast.
You like that one, Tiger?
Oh, dude, I had a perfect analogy for that too. Where Hasbro,
let's hear it.
Hasbro came up to Wizards, was like, "Hey, man, look, down a couple dollars. I'm really sorry. I'm release the OGL.
Yeah,
just please. I look."
Here's the crazy thing.
Here's my balls.
Let him finish, Ryan.
No, it's perfect.
$20. $20 is $20.
Yeah, this goes back to the financial part of it. If there's that guy who Dancy, who's the vice president, and he was talking about
was the vice president
and
in 2000,
and he knows everything about how everything ran back then, and he was saying that, like, they would get on conference calls and earnings calls, and all these reporters would ask, Hasbro, hey, Star Wars and G.I. Joe and blah blah blah, what's the money, where's the money coming from? And they just said, oh yeah, we're gonna start making movies, and nobody really dug into the financials of the company until I guess one guy started doing a little digging, and he found out that Hasbro's, all their money was being made by Wizards of the Coast. They were taking that money and dumping it into these other products that were just not working so well. And then, I don't know if you remember this, but there was a call at one point for them to spin off Wizards, right? To spin off Wizards as their own company. And
they won't do it because, like I said, that's propping up the parent company right now.
The reason they won't do it is because if they do, Wizards will start making more money, will be worth more than Hasbro, even if all the shareholders get stock in this new company.
You fucking get rid of Wizards, that's fucking taking the kickstand off, and you're not on the fucking bicycle.
No, you have no wheels.
Hasbro's
you know why the bicycle fell over, right? It was too tired.
I'm
sorry, go ahead, Tiger. I didn't mean to cut you off there.
Hasbro is just the abusive boyfriend, stepfather of Wizards of the Coast. They took them in when they were young and we'll take care of you. It's okay, little buddy. By the way, you owe us $1 million in royalties.
They installed their own puppet.
You've been watching too much Pornhub.
They installed their own puppet at the head of Wizards of the Coast. Just FYI.
Well, yeah, I mean, makes sense. That's what corporate structures do.
Yeah.
And
no, Hasbro put somebody on the Wizard staff.
No, the president of Wizards.
All
right.
They put him on the Wizards staff. Is that what she said?
Yeah. And again, so here's another section. This is very common legalese. I don't know if it's legal. As my understanding in the United States, you cannot do this. You are not allowed to give away your right to sue. And this is this section here. Page 8.
Oh, this is normal too, Ryan, because
I know.
It's not giving up the right to sue. It's an arbitration thing, basically.
Yeah, so you waiver of jury trial. We and you each waive any right to a jury trial for any dispute, claim, or cause or action related to or arising out of this agreement. In other words, you can't sue them for this agreement.
No, this is normal too because it's an arbitration before a judge. Actually, a lot of employers do the same exact thing.
Yeah.
This is very, very common. This is normal too.
Yeah, which is also again, and I would be shocked if somebody doesn't test this one, because as far as I know, you cannot waive your right to sue at all.
No, you gotta read more into it. It's basically waiving the right to take it before a jury and whatnot.
Yeah.
It'd be arbitration before a judge.
So review by counsel.
Which that's totally normal.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the money part. Let's get into the money part. Money. So page 10 for people following along. Page 10, section 6. Registration and reporting. We're mostly concerned about section B and section 7. So reporting, as soon as you make $50,000 in gross revenue for a particular year on products covered by the OGL commercial and it is used in this agreement, revenue means any income, blah, blah, blah. It's all money. Anyways, crowdfunding.
You have to share your financials with them.
Yeah, basically reaching means you will need to report how much you need to report your income. In addition, you need to provide with us the year-end numbers. It goes into some extra details.
Yeah, the one thing about that, so there's been a whole bunch of, as soon as that kind of financial thing came out, there is a video actually that came out recently by a YouTuber known as Moist Critical, who kind of went into this too at the financial side. He was saying that a whole bunch of the companies and corporations or whatever that stream on Twitch or kind of sell third-party rule sets and all that, if they make too much money, Wizards is gonna come up to them and be like, hand it over.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Tiger, because they have this tiered system, and it's not supposed to be till, and Ryan's going to get to it here in a second, but it's not supposed to be till after $750,000 that you pay royalties. But here's the deal: I think what Wizards is doing here is kind of testing the waters. They don't know how much these companies are making, so they threw these numbers out for now, and they're going to keep an eye. They'll get the heavy hitters right away. Heavy hitters they'll get right away, and then anybody that's under that, they can keep an eye on them, keep on the radar, and if there's a bunch within, maybe it's not 750, maybe there's a bunch hitting 600,000, then they can go back in, change it to say, hey, actually, we're going to add another tier, and at 500,000, you got to, between 500 and 750, you got to pay 5%.
Yeah, or
anything over 750, you got to pay 20%. Yeah. They could do something like that.
They only need a 30-day notice to change it.
The 3 companies that have come under fire for that the most part has been Cobalt Press, Paizo, and the Critical Role. They're
the big hitters,
right? So Cobalt Press made an announcement. I don't know if anybody has seen it, but go
ahead and tell us what it was.
They are committed to doing an open gaming tabletop community. They're still going to do their current Kickstarters, all of that. They're going to still release their books for right now. And then they're changing.
They're basically, they're unlatching. They're unlatching from the teat that is the Wizards of the Coast.
Yeah, they're kind of making their own thing, and this is where.
So are they gonna use their own gaming system then?
Yeah. They might change it, and they're calling it Project Black Flag.
Okay.
As a pirated thing.
Right.
and Tiger was saying that Paizo just came out with an announcement just today.
Paizo. So I have it on my phone.
Here we go.
Paizo is a big one.
So the Paizo, they're coming up with an open RPG creative license, an ORC. So in the direct response to reports that have come out over the past week about the status of Wizards updating the open game license, Paizo has offered to pay for the legal work necessary to create the system agnostics license. However, it states that it will not be owned by Paizo nor by any company who makes money publicizing RPGs. Instead, Azora Law, co-founded by an attorney is going to have it.
So basically,
they're going to provide a safe harbor against any company being bought, sold, or changing management in the future. So they're trying to
they're going to future-proof it.
Yeah, they're trying to make a different licensing for their games and for the things that they are using.
So in order to do that, then they would have to essentially use a different gaming system and structure.
Yeah, there's
then,
different. There's hundreds of different games.
Oh, I know, but I'm just saying, like, obviously the number one is the OGL. That's the number one.
The number one is Dungeons.
So, yeah. I had a question for Tiger too, just because I'm not sure. So you were talking about Paizo, or was it Cobalt? It was one of those where you said that they had books that they released. Did they actually release physical copies and sell them?
Both of them do.
Because under this new OGL, you can't do that. Period.
Yeah.
Even with your own stuff, you can't release. They allow you to do e-publish files and PDFs. You can't do physical copies
they're going
of books.
Paizo.
Oh, here we go. He got to pull out a example here. Here we go.
Paizo.
Well, there we go.
Pathfinder.
Yeah. So basically, under the new, this is where I see an issue too. Is under this new OGL, if you look in there, I couldn't tell you the exact section because I don't have it. I have the chat pulled up on my phone instead of this. Not that there's anybody in there, but anyways, it does say in there that you can't do books. You do EPUB files or PDFs.
Yeah.
That's it.
And here's the
thing. Under the OGL.
So if you go to the financials of Paizo, they made as much money, if not more, from Pathfinder and their other books than Wizards of the Coast did off Dungeons and Dragons.
See that?
So
wow.
This is them going, we're taking your ball and going home.
I mean, Paizo has been releasing books for years.
Paizo's been on.
They even came out with a new edition.
Yeah, Paizo's been keeping role playing alive for the previous 18 years before Dungeons and Dragons started getting popular.
I learned Dungeons and Dragons off of Pathfinder.
Yeah, so there you go.
So I guess Tiger, I know you mentioned before we started the stream you had a question you wanted to pose, or did we already go over that?
I think it was more likely like something that you were probably going to ask if you were going to be on like the Hasbro side, where it's like, because I was talking with one of my friends about the OGL and everything being released about Wizards, and he asked, why does it matter? Like, why can't Wizards just do what they want with their game and all that? And I was like, well,
they can.
They can.
Yeah, it's like they definitely can, but it's like it's negatively affecting the community and the company kind of surrounding it. And he's like, I mean, but that's their shit to deal with.
Yeah, I mean,
public relations is a huge part of keeping your company in business.
I mean, look, it was just like an interesting question because it kind of made me think of like why, like, how much this does affect.
It doesn't affect you. It doesn't affect me. It doesn't affect Shane. It doesn't affect people playing games. What it affects us only if we play a lot of games created by Paizo, Frog Press,
and even then, at this point, it doesn't really affect much on that either because there's already so much content and shit out there. It affects new
stuff,
potential
content, new IP down the pipeline here. To go hark back on a point that was said earlier by you, Ryan. Basically, the way I see this whole thing overall is if they cut out the part about using users' created media in there for their own purposes, however they want. If they cut that out and they still allow like Paizo and them to do, release their own books, because I don't see any fucking issue with that, because that's just going to lead to more revenue, and that's more money that Wizards can, chip off the top from them. If they change it so that basically those changes were made, I honestly don't see an issue with this
Here's
at
what's
all.
going to end up happening. Number one, it's going to either they're going to scrap this whole thing, which it kind of sounds like they might, and maybe try to reintroduce it later, or what I think is more likely the case is Paizo and all these other, they may just kind of reach a side deal.
That's ultimately, I think, what's going to happen. Is you're right, Ryan. What's going to happen is, okay, you're okay. Say Tiger here decided to use the OGL, and he's making his own system, and he's selling it online, and he's making $5,000 a year or whatever. Whoop-de fucking wigwam. It's not on their radar. They don't give a fuck about that. What's going to happen is these bigger ones that are actually making money, they're going to reach side deals with Wizards. They're gonna go, hey, Paizo's gonna go, hey, we have these books, we're making money off them. That's something for you to make money off of too. They're gonna go, we're gonna reach a different agreement with you, because actually it does say in this new OGL that they reserve the right to make special deals.
Yeah, and here's the thing, and if they don't, and this could just be Hasbro being stupid, if they don't decide to make deals with these companies, then what's going to end up happening is you're going to get a lot, as we've seen, fan backlash. These companies are going to bail on Wizards, and unfortunately, I think Wizards and Hasbro, they just may have chewed off a little bit more than they can swallow.
Yeah, the only people I think Wizards will actually work with and make a deal is Paizo and Critical Role.
Yeah, because again, Paizo made more money,
and they've already made a deal with, as Ryan told me earlier today, they've made a deal with Kickstarter too.
Yeah, Kickstarter is the official partner of Wizards of the Coast.
But
for releasing new shit.
Yeah, but you still have to pay royalties.
You still have to pay royalties, but not as much.
Yeah.
Yeah, they cut a deal. So what Kickstarter essentially did is, so in the OGL it says between 20 and 25% is what the royalty fee is over the 750,000. So what Kickstarter did is they worked out a deal with Wizards and said, hey, if we have our Kickstarters on here and people are doing stuff with the OGL, if they make over that amount, they're getting the lowest amount possible under that. They're getting the 20%. They're not getting hit with the 25%, the people that are creating these Kickstarters. Yeah. So that's the deal they struck with them. I see Cobalt and Paizo striking probably a better deal than that. They'll probably strike a fucking 10 or 15% deal, because
or they're just saying
just to the mass.
Yeah.
Or like you said, or they say, fuck you, go fly a kite, and we're just gonna
the company that can
implement our own system.
And the company that can do it is Paizo, because if you go to most LGSs, they have bigger sections of Paizo stuff. Most of their game nights are Pathfinder leagues, which are the official Pathfinder gaming nights. Most people do not play Dungeons and Dragons. They play Pathfinder style games. And again, Pathfinder has made more money than Dungeons and Dragons has in the same amount of time. They could be like, they're the only company that can literally stand up and say, no, we're gonna take my ball back from you, and we're gonna leave, and good luck.
Well, and let's just address the fucking 5,000 pound, 50,000 pound elephant in the room here. The biggest problem with all of this is what D&D is. It's basically a core set of rules, and then you kind of make up you have Dungeon Master makes up the game as you go. You don't need all these books. You don't need all this stuff to even play the game. So basically you just get a group of people together, and you have the basic structure, and you have pieces of paper, and you make your character sheets, and you run the game, So realistically, you don't even need to buy any of this stuff
Correct.
to even play the game. And therein lies the major problem: is it's not as monetizable as a product like Magic, where you have cards that you can print out over and over again, and people buy them. With this, it's not scalable like that. So therein lies the biggest issue with this. So I think Hasbro is kind of starting to kind of realize this, even though they should have realized that a long time ago, and grasping at straws a little bit here to try to capture some sort of value out of it. And if they have to get that out of these, I don't want to call them competitors because they're not competitors, but if they have to get it out of, anybody that runs the OGL system, then that's where they're going to go with it, which, like I said, I don't see a problem with them wanting a piece of that pie because it is their system, but they're not necessarily going about it the right way, and there's definitely some shit in there that they need to cut out.
Yeah. Again, if they cut out that part where they could take your stuff,
or they could take your content, yeah.
They could take your content, I think it's all blown over.
Well, that, and like I said, also where it says you can only do EPUB files and PDF files of your work. That's bullshit, because you should be able to have your own printed work come out. There's nothing wrong with that. The part where it says doing videos and doing video games and this and that they can leave that in there. As far as I'm concerned, that's fine. That they should reserve the right on that kind of stuff, I guess. That I could see letting that slip by, but yeah, get rid of those two things mainly, and I honestly really don't see anything wrong with the OGL at that point.
Yeah, but again, and this may all be moot because they've canceled their second attempt at explaining this whole thing. D&D Beyond has crashed, and hopefully it will burn. Everyone should move to Roll20. Anyways, final thoughts. That was my final thought.
Over there. Choose your last one.
Choose your last one.
Yeah, final thoughts, Tiger.
I hope Wizards can figure it out. I hope they don't make a really big mistake of pissing off the entire community, making everybody basically just have a bad taste in their mouth about Dungeons and Dragons, and then then the company literally crashes.
Yeah, I've been playing D&D since the dawn of time, and it would be really sad to see them, basically score on themselves.
Yeah.
Well, and I guess my final thoughts on it are, this is going to turn out one of a couple different ways. One, they're going to stick to their guns. Yeah, people are going to be pissed off, but I think the majority will end up sticking with what they have laid out in the OGL, and shit'll blow over and it'll be whatever. Or two, they'll get so much backlash like they already are getting that maybe they will take out a couple of these things and make it more equitable for all parties. Or, remote chance, they scrap the whole thing. I don't think they're going to scrap the whole thing. There's a reason why they're doing this. They're doing it to get a piece of the pie. And again, they're a business. They try to make money. It is their property. I have no problem with them making a buck. I have no problem with them. And especially with it's at that high of a price point before they even take any money out of it. I don't see anything wrong with that. It's some of these other things that they've kind of snuck in there that are okay, guys.
Yeah. Anyways.
And I want to make one more point. Part of the fucking huge backlash here too clearly goes back to what's been going on with Magic lately, which as we did with our fireside chat video, where you and I agree that people over fucking reacted to the majority of
I don't
that.
think they're overreacting to this though.
No, this is a different story. I agree, but
there are some that are.
But that sentiment is piling on to this.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why this is such more. It's more swift. It's more decisive. It's more, boom, shit's coming down on Wizards about this. Whereas with the fucking fireside chat was a few jerk offs on fucking YouTube, making it out to be something that it wasn't, and then everybody else going, oh, yeah, I sucked that guy's dick. I believe every fucking word he says. And they fucking pile on with him.
And you notice there's no complaints about Wizards and Magic the Gathering anymore, right?
Ah. It took the fucking focus. They're all focused right out of there.
D&D right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So I think we're going to wrap this up. We're almost at our hour mark. So thanks, Tiger, for joining us. And
yeah, we appreciate it, Tiger. We'll have to have you on again sometime. He's not just our local D&D expert. He is quite the Magic player and is a jack of all trades when it comes to gaming.
Yep. All right.
I was just thinking that. I'm like looking at my background and Ryan's background going, I got a fucking dinosaur fossil back there. That's kind of cool. But this guy got his fucking magic tapestry and shit, and Ryan got an open door for him.
5 colors.
All right, I'm gonna stop the stream, stop the recording. We'll stay on though.
All right.